In Tehran, the dead are bid farewell in a staged managed outpouring of grief. This is the pure essence of fundamentalist Iran, a regime built upon the tenets of suffering, sacrifice and martyrdom. A regime living in the past. In the coffins, the recently discovered remains of soldiers who died 15 years ago in the Iran-Iraq War, now being laid to rest amid the fading rhetoric of a revolution some 20 years past. But peer behind this facade and you'll find fewer Iranians listening. The real chant now is not for revolution, but for social and political evolution. A battle has been joined for the hearts and minds of Iran's youth. In the 20 years since the revolution, Iran's population has nearly doubled to 70 million people. Now dominated by a Generation X, it's managed to transform the strict Islamic dress code into a fashion statement. It's a generation in a hurry, with no time for fundamentalism. For a few days in July, it looked like the start of a second revolution. Students on the campus of Tehran University demanding political and social reform, and demanding it now. It all started with a peaceful student protest against the closure of a reformist newspaper. But the response was swift and violent, as hardliners retaliated by raiding student dormitories. Sent in to crush this youthful idealism, not the police or army, but a militia called the Baasij, defenders of the fundamentalist revolution. For hardliners, Tehran University is also a symbolic rallying point, because it was from here 20 years ago that another generation of students launched their revolution to overthrow the hated Shah. Having scattered the reformists, the Baasij gather on campus for Friday prayers. Their affirmation of loyalty broadcast live on national television. Working the crowd, political power broker and former president Rafsanjani. With one hand on the pulpit, the other on a rifle, he's proved a deft hand at pleasing both sides. Today, he throws in his lot with the hardliners.
دانشجوها غالباً چیزی که میخوان حاکمیت قانون احترام حفظ حرمت شخصیتشونه.
Fearing further Baasij attacks, most students have gone to ground. but not 24-year-old Mani Askari, back out on the streets after the protests.
من فکر میکنم خب اصلاحات حتما بدیهی انجام میشه ولی چیزی که به عنوان انقلاب یا تغییرات بنیادی باشه فکر نمیکنم. نه یعنی هیچ وقتی که تو ایران نخواهیم داشت ولی اصلاحات طبیعت هر انقلابی که بعدش یک سری اصلاحات انجام بشه یک سری
He's been dubbed the Gorbachev of Iran. President Mohammad Khatami is a mullah with a powerful mandate, 70% of the vote. He's trying to steer a course between the conservative supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, and his student followers, who want the reforms to go much further. And like Gorbachev, he risks being overtaken by events, left behind in political oblivion. And these are the people who want to deal democracy a knockout blow. Defenders of the faith, fresh from their clash with the students. They call themselves the army of Hezbollah, but to most Iranians, they're simply the Baasij, meaning the mobilised. This unit is led by a 63-year-old grandfather and national karate coach, Ahmad Olama. The unarmed combat display is for a new batch of recruits, some as young as 12.
Baasij ارگان و سازمانی هستش که در همه کارها مشارکت داره برای دفاع از حریم و کیان اسلام و بدون مزد و حقوقی فقط آرزوش اینه که در راه اسلام شهید بشه و ولایت کار او را تایید بکنه.
They're the sons of the working class who owe their education and improved social status to the revolution.
باسیج یک عنصریه که من گفتم با همه آگاهی شما الان سوال کنید اینجا اکثر اینها دانشجو هستن علم دارن خب عوام نیستن چون علم دارن درک میکنن که جنگ به خاطر چی بوده.
Until recently, the Baasij were just an unofficial morals police, enforcing what had been a strict Islamic dress code. But with the army and revolutionary guards now displaying an unwillingness to crush civil unrest, these young zealots have become the enforcers of the regime. Baasiji leaders have been discreetly rewarded with funding, arms and key posts in the security forces. During our visit, the guns remain hidden. On display is Ahmad's 10-year-old granddaughter, Hani, trying hard to show us what she'll do to the students. It's all very cute, but the Baasij are preparing for a war. The enemy, reformists, who are allegedly conspiring with America and Israel to topple the Islamic State.
باسیج در ابتدای امر با حرکتی که در مقابل خدمت شما عرض کنم که دشمنان از خودش نشون داد به خصوص تو روز راهپیمایی دشمنان رو ناامید کرد از اون اهدافی که داشتن.
Now numbering around 400,000, the Baasij was originally raised as a part-time militia during Iran's war with Iraq.
هشت سال دفاع مقدس و ما با همه دنیای کفر باسیج تونست جنگو به پیروزی برسونه وگرنه هیچ کشوری دیگه نمیتونست دووم بیاره در مقابل اون عنصر کثیف.
They were little more than cannon fodder. It was the Baasij who served as human minesweepers, walking arm in arm across minefields, clearing a path with their lives and limbs for the professional soldiers who followed. Boys and old men whom Ahmed proudly led to martyrdom and glory.
من تقریبا 15 بار اعزام شدم. هر اعزامی از 2 ماه 3 ماه 4 ماه شکل بود. بله اینها اینجا برای ساختن جسم و روحشون ورزش کردن، آماده شدن، بعد رفتن برای دفاع از اسلام جونشون رو ایثار کردن.
To meet the Baasij's enemy, I'm quite literally invited underground. Not to a den of bomb-throwing students, but a stylish restaurant revelling in Iran's Persian heritage. This is what Ahmed and his young Baasijis fear, the middle class. Money is there to introduce me to his family and an evening's entertainment regarded by hardline mullahs as dangerously subversive. Old patriotic songs from the pre-revolutionary days nearly bring the house down. It's all pretty tame by Western standards, but before President Hatami's election, such a performance would have had the Baasijis crashing through the doors and dragging everyone off for interrogation. The ban on singing and clapping has been lifted, but dancing is still outlawed. In reality, this place only survives now through hefty payoffs to local security officials. Tonight's highlight is the Baasij, or black game, a traditional satire of the master-servant relationship. With the mullahs firmly entrenched as the revolutionary ruling class, the role models need no explanation. It's enough to have the Ayatollah Khomeini spinning in his grave. Mani's parents, like so many others here, were in the vanguard of the 1979 revolution. Now they laugh at leaders they were once prepared to die for.
ولی از نظر اقتصادی وضع بهتر نشد و حتی شاید بدتر شد. از نظر آزادی هم اون چی که انتظارش داشتیم هنوز بهش نرسیدیم.
Just a quick browse through the old photo albums and you realise that this is a family with strong revolutionary credentials. Mani's parents, Abdullah and Parvin, and brother-in-law Majid, relive those dramatic days of 20 years ago.
Is this you? This is you in your revolutionary days?
Yes.
You've gone in that.
As a young civil engineer, Abdullah liberated the Tehran waterworks for the revolution.
They are the worker of the water treatment plant.
Yeah?
This is a group that working and protect the water treatment plant in those days.
Yes? Against the pollution by the Shah. Why did you need guns to guard the water? They worried about the pollution of the water by the SAVAK or security agency of Shah.
Oh, the sabotage.
Yes.
Sabotage.
Oh, right.
And the 4-year-old boy, proudly holding his father's rifle, is none other than Mani.
That's you, is it?
This is money.
Money and my daughter.
This is a revolutionary family.
This is my wife.
Despite the nostalgia, this family of true believers has lost the political faith and is prepared to say so. It's a brave step. Reformists may be in the majority, but the hardliners still control the men with the guns.
I think the power is so delicious. Power is sweet, and everyone have power try to save it. and the main part of people in Iran favored the gradually reform from an Islamic regime to Islamic democracy. So I think President Khatami is the head of this movement, which is not a revolution. It's an evolution.
Ya Hussein! Ya Hussein! Ya Hussein! Ya Hussein!
Ahmad guides his Baasij troop through a very different photo collection. This is Besht Izara, Cemetery of the Martyrs, a memorial to what he calls the imposed war, Iran's 8-year bloodbath with Iraq that claimed 1 million lives. Young Baasijis are told how the war united a factionalised nation behind the mullahs, how Iran has been bound by blood, and how so many of the dead here are the teenage martyrs of the Baasij.
این تانک هایی که مشاهده میکنید اینها خاطراتی از جنگ هستش و بعد اینجا مطلبی را من میخوام عنوان بکنم به این شکل که جوان 13 ساله نارنجک به کمرش بست و زیر تانک دشمن رفت، تانک رو منهدم کرد. جوانهای 13 سالمون با نارنجک به سراغ تانک رفتن و دشمن رو ناامید کردن. یا حسین! یا حسین!
The enormity of the sacrifices are largely lost on a younger generation. So the Baasij constantly reinforce their one tangible link with the past. Sayyid Muhammad Julai is a Baasij. Every week, he and his brother Mehdi come to wash the grave of their martyred father and knock on the marble, a call to his soul.
تغییر و رفرم نداره. اونهایی که دنبال مطامع خودشون هستن، اونها هستش که باید تغییر کنن. اون چی رو که تاریخ این 20 ساله به ما نشون داده این هستش که فکر میکنم بسیج الان چطور بگم زمینه این جانفشانی رو خیلی بیشتر داره تا اون موقع.
I think it's the first place that said
As much as they cherish the past, the Baasij cannot ignore the encroaching sprawl of the global village. Nor can they simply delete the reformist demands for democracy. During the riots, hardliners switched off the mobile phone network being used by the students. But the security forces soon realised they'd been defeated by the power of the internet.
در حدود 3 سال هستش که تقریبا اینترنت به صورت عمومی در سطح دانشگاه‌ها گسترش پیدا کرده و در 1-2 سال اخیر به صورت عمومی در حال گسترش هستش.
Money needs only log on to America's CNN, news service of the great Satan, for an update on what's happening just round the corner in Tehran.
آقای خاتمی صحبتی که پیروز کردن در واقع خبر از اینکه در مقابل این گروه فشار اعمال قدرت بیشتری انجام بدن و این خبر خوبی برای دانشجویان و کلاً مردم ایران بودش.
The good news may be short-lived. Reformists now fear that the Baasij are preparing to do much more than pull the plug on technology. The shrine of His Holiness Imam Khomeini, father of Iran's fundamentalist state. To his disciples, Khomeini created a perfect state, inviolate as the Quran, where political or social change equates to sacrilege. But change is now inevitable. Parliamentary elections are slated for early next year, and pundits predict a landslide win for the reformists. For the true believers, Iran will again be polluted with decadent Western influences that they fought so hard to erase in a revolution 2 decades ago. That sense of betrayal is now being drummed into the next generation of little Baasijis, repeatedly chanting the mantra of spiritual enlightenment and the glories of a fundamentalist state that must be defended to the death.